We're now moving into the NFC East. I think we just power right through. Do you need to break it all? Like
no, you know me, man. I can go all night.
All right, sweet. Yeah, as long as it is, it's just always my favorite things to talk about. So, let us know if you're still with us. If you have any questions too, like, of course, the hardcore fans that are sitting through a marathon projection show are the ones we want to talk to. So let us know if you got questions. We'll be happy to answer it. It's going to be nice to move from that like 3 shitstorm teams now into the Cowboys. And then
I want to just point out how smoothly that banner transition was, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful.
You're welcome. All right. You got a big discrepancy, and I'm going to hit you with it right away on this. Okay. You got Dak Prescott projected to score the 4th most points of any quarterback, but you got him as your QB 10. Explain.
So, you know what? I will 100% explain that when we get there.
Okay.
And I'm going back and forth about whether I want to change it or not, but I'll just show you, zoom in real quick. It's this right here, the 5 rushing touchdowns. And I'm going to talk about why I have that and whether I should or not. Because what I realize is if you take away 1, and especially if you take away 2 of those, he goes from the QB 5 in my projections to the QB 11, like just because of the 12 points.
Okay, so it's a big swing.
How close they all are, like that's why I use tiers. Is like, like Stafford and Prescott are within 5 points of my projections. That's the difference of him scoring one of those rushing touchdowns and not, and like going down 3 spots. You know what I mean?
And that's also almost certainly not going to be the difference between you winning your league or not.
No, exactly. That's why I like these QBs.
Right, so that's fair. That looks like a big discrepancy, but I get what you're saying that it's really not.
It's a great question, though. No, it absolutely makes sense.
No, but you're right. That makes sense.
I said I had expected from those plays. I lied. It's the Cowboys. 11, 21, 81 more than league average. That's exactly what we've seen these last couple of years with Kellen Moore. 81 more, 51 more, 55. Like they push the pace with Kellen Moore. And they're going to do that again. They've been the number 1 offense in total yards the last 2 years with Dak Prescott healthy and Kellen Moore at the helm. I think they're going to be right up in those top 3 in total yards, number 1 and number 6 in touchdowns, respectively, the last 2 years with Dak Prescott. It's the Cowboys. You want products from this team. So Dak Prescott, as you mentioned, top 5 quarterback in my projections, in that range in my rankings. I love him. And the reason why the big bump this year is not just all those plays and all the scoring, but the rushing bump. 5 rushing touchdowns. They're already talking about him being more mobile, 2 years removed from the surgery. He's moving around in camp better. They want to use him on the run because that is one of his great strengths is throwing on the run and improvising outside the pocket. And also as a runner in the red zone, he has a season on his resume with 5 rushing touchdowns. So if they're already saying we want to use him more as a red zone weapon, more as a runner, I mean, that could unlock – that's what's unlocking that top 5 upside for Dak, and that's why I probably should bump him on the rankings. I guess the reason I'm a little hesitant is the weapons, and I'm kind of questioning it's not the Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb show anymore. It's the CeeDee Lamb show, and then I don't know who else. So that's where
Tolbert.
Yeah, exactly. That's where my hesitation comes in a little bit. So let's talk about, I still think even with lackluster weapons, it's a good play caller. It's a good pace. I think it's bad. The defense is improving, but they're still going to be pedal to the metal. Let's rack up points and plays.
This means nothing, by the way, as far as fantasy.
Yeah.
But you've got the Cowboys' backup quarterback with 131% completion
percentage.
17 completions and only 13 attempts, which is just really spectacular. Probably should be using that guy more.
Big Cooper Rush fan. I'm a Cooper Rush diehard.
Right. Literally 1.3 completions for every.
I saw that and I was like, "What the hell's going on?"
It caught my attention. You don't usually see 131%.
It's a tough thing to pull off, but if anyone's going to do it,
you literally need multiple footballs on the field. All right, let's move on.
Oh man, well, into the ground pie. So how do I see 486 rushes being divided? I mean, they're saying Zeke is fully healthy. I think at least half the workload makes sense. They've talked a little bit about getting Pollard going even more than they have in years past, and particularly as a receiver. So Pollard came out really high in my projections. I do think I have to scale back this work a little bit. 165 rushes and 64 targets seems a little bit lofty. Does he deserve? I think I kind of projected him as what he deserves versus what he probably will actually see. But they are talking about putting him in the slot more.
Yes,
and as we just looked at, like they don't have a ton of receivers in his way from taking over a slot role. So if he sees 60 targets, if they do put him in the slot, he's got all the upside in the world, even sharing a backfield with Zeke. The one time we saw Zeke miss time in the last 2 years, Pollard put up 33 fantasy points and was the running back 1 that week. So like every time he gets the rock, he looks explosive. He looks better than Zeke. I think they're going to wake up and give him a little bit more work here. It's kind of like when Aaron Jones first came in the league and Mike McCarthy had him, and they kept him scaled back for a little bit, and then his role kept evolving, and finally he took over. I don't think he takes over.
You only have him 4 spots below Zeke as far as projection.
Yeah, and we've been drafting Zeke a ton, and I was kind of surprised that Zeke came out a little bit less than I expected. Again, 243 rushes, a little bit less than his career, but it's still pretty good. And I put him at 11 rushing touchdowns, which is more than he's had the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And he still only came back as running backs, 14, 15? Something like that, like 16? I don't know. But a big part of that was...
If you don't really like him as a receiver, I mean, we see this all the time. If you think he's going to have 200 receiving yards and 2 receiving touchdowns, that's not that appealing. It's really not. You're straight up just running backs, unless they're like Derrick Henry or something like that. It's... Because we're both pretty high on Zeke.
I know.
And yet, so, how sexy is he? I don't know.
Do you think I'm off? Like, I do think I might have to balance this out to even be a little bit closer to 50-50 between the guys. Like, Zeke is a pretty good receiver, and he had some really nice gains, especially down the stretch in screens and whatnot. So, like, I don't know if this is more of my wish for Pollard that he sees 64 targets or not. I just think, it could just be lame coach speak, them just talking up, using him in the slot and in shared backfields and stuff. But they really should. Pollard is so damn explosive and great when he's in space. Like, I don't know.
You also like Pollard. It's so hard to predict because Pollard, it's like you said, what does he deserve? He deserves more, right? I mean, he's getting 40% of the rushes, something like that. But you like him. I mean, again, these are projections, but you like him. I mean, a 5.6 yards per carry clip, that's a substantial improvement over really just about anybody, but certainly over Zeke. And I don't know. He is a great receiver. He is explosive. You like him for like 500 yards in the air. That's not nothing. I mean, I actually think if you like him for 500 yards and all those receptions, you're probably a little low on touchdowns for him. Maybe,
right? Especially with the big playability. When I should probably say this at the top, when I make these efficiency stats, these are pretty much base career averages. I'll maybe make slight tweaks if like the line has improved. Maybe I'll bump them up a 0.1 or 2. Maybe the quarterback's worse and they drop a couple. So like I don't just go, here's the career average and plug it in, but I do look at what they performed as career clips. And do I think that's going to go down? Zeke's has gone down in 3 straight years. So it was at like 4.4 last year. Took a 0.1 off. Whereas Pollard, 5 points, I think it was 5.8 last year. Like the guy is just so explosive. But if he got this amount of work, I wonder if that would stay that way. I am as I look at it.
That would be an impressive clip over 160 carries. But it's not impossible.
I'm a little too high on him. But I really do think there's it's the hyperbolic comparison of all hyperbolic comparisons. There's some Jamal Charles to Tony Pollard's game. The way when he gets out
believe me, the thought crossed my mind.
Did it? Yeah. So, I mean, there could be a world someday where Tony Pollard gets a featured back and proves to be. Because think about how long it took Jamal Charles to kind of break through. We're always seeing 5.6, and we're just like he gets 200 carries, it's still there. He gets 250, it's still there. I mean, that might just be Pollard. That's one of the all-time greats, one of my favorites to watch. So I don't think that's just ultimate ceiling, maybe 5% chance. That's what actually ever happens with Pollard. But what he's shown so far, there's similar glimpses, I guess.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you.
I don't know if I'm nuts. To the receivers, though. So that's just I love Pollard so much. I might be projecting my wants a little bit more. That might be when I scale back. We should jot down a couple of these ones. It's what do we need to revisit here as we go? I think Pollard is one of them. If you don't mind jotting that down for me, revisit Pollard. You're a little psycho, Trakoff.
All right,
but in terms of target shares, I have CeeDee Lamb getting 24%, and I don't really see who's in his way from getting that 152 targets. I love it. If Gallup, this 13% really just depends on health. If he somehow is out there, they're saying anything from week 1 to week 6, very big range. So it's tough to project right now. It was a late ACL tear. So the typical timeline wouldn't have him on the field till October. They're saying he's ahead and maybe he'll be good to go for week 1. I doubt that. But let's say we get week 3, I'd bump this up to 16% because when Gallup's out there, he's a great receiver. He's going to be the clear number 2. We both talked about how we liked Gallup more as the number 2 in Dallas than Amari is the number 1 in Cleveland. And that's assuming Watson's out for the whole year. I still go by that for whatever amount of time Gallup's out there. That's just the question is how long is he going to be out there?
Yeah, fair enough.
Tolbert, an exciting rookie. They're saying he's making tons of red zone grabs and looking good. The guy that I really want to highlight, though, is Dalton Schultz. 17% target share, 108 targets coming in for him. With Cooper gone, I think he's going to really be leaned upon as like that trustworthy, dependable. Him and Cooper are very different parts of the field and routes and all that, but he already was one of Dak's most trusted guys, and now you have a whopping 120 targets now for grabs. I think Schultz only gets more of those. He actually ended up coming out as my tight end 4 in projections with 82 catches, 836, and 9 touchdowns. And I love it. And he goes in round 6. And me and you keep getting knocks because we have Allen and we want to stack him, and I get that. But in the drafts I've done, like kind of since the baked best balls, I've been doing Schultz almost every round 6. And I am not hesitating at all. I love what he's going to do this year.
All right, fair enough.
Do you like Schultz?
I do.
Unsexy name, but like I don't know. I love him.
No, I think I like him right around where you have him, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think he's like one of the best, but I think he's like maybe in the tier below that.
What is up, you fantasy wolf? Thanks so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, share your thoughts in the comments, check out some more videos, and join the newest Wolfpack by subscribing below.